political or current events, but instead social, civilian in that regard. For those of you whose acquaintance I did not make this morning, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Madison. James Madison. It is my distinguished and unmerited honor to serve as a counselor of this independent Commonwealth of Virginia. I fear before I begin, I ought to explain my appearance. I come to you dressed as a country farmer and not a proper representative of state. You see, gentlemen and ladies, after returning to the College of William and Mary, where I resided for the dinner hour, I endeavored to return within the city, and, well, the adventures that followed bordered upon the unbelievable. May I be so candid as to share them with you? Sure. I humbly thank you. Well, I have resided within this city of Williamsburg now for the better part of this last year, serving as one of the 9 assembled councilors in the executive branch of government. And in this time, make no mistake, I have gained a great deal of knowledge. However, equally, I have lost a great deal. Earlier this year, I strayed or lost my own horse, a sorrel, some 12 hands high, uncropped in a tail, and since then have yet to find my means of transportation. And this saga continued upon this afternoon hour. You see, I spent the majority of my lunch hour in the comfort of a book, where so often I spend the majority of my time. And I recall pacing my three-cornered chapeau upon a windowsill, the day being more temperate in climate, the windows being open. So in this regard, as I prepared to dress to walk down the high street to speak to you fine people, I made some attempt to recover that self-same chapeau. It was not there. And so I retraced my steps. I stepped within the dining room. No hat. Stepped within the library. No hat. Stepped within the entry hall. Each peg bare. No hat. Well, I became suddenly flummoxed, suddenly flabbergasted, suddenly impotent in any idea as to where my chapeau ought to be. Now, gentlemen and ladies, you who are acquainted with travel will know that, well, a gentleman can only carry so many things within his portmanteau bag. Oftentimes, the only hat he brings with him, the one atop his head. And equally, fashion would dictate, though it does not at present, that every gentleman stepping out of doors must cover his head with a hat. And so from there, I faced a great dilemma, gentlemen and ladies. Either I would not appear before this august body, or I would need find some conveyance by which to properly cover myself in fashion. And so I traveled through towards my cousin, towards every individual within the College of William and Mary, and no suitable hat could be found. Until finally I stepped outside, and what did I see traveling down the Richmond Road but a peddling snuff salesman. And upon his head this, short of top, wide of brim, and deficient in any sensible fashionability. And so upon this I offered him continental scrip for it, which he would not take, our continental money inflating to such a degree that it is worthless. I suspect it is the only sensible decision this particular Frenchman had ever made. And so from there instead I presented a bottle of peach brandy from my own father's plantation, to which he most obligingly traded. And it is in this fashion that I found myself now happily appearing before you, covered as I am. But either way, in any sense, I am exceeding pleased to have the opportunity to speak before you today, to acquaint myself better with you, and I should continue before I, continue speaking publicly and tell you that in general, I have a great fear of speaking publicly. I have been called by my friends as shy. I have been called by my rivals as cold, and I have been called by my enemies the most unsocial imp of a creature who has ever existed. The great truth is I'm not a man of many spoken words. I never have been. I am a man who in speaking will often use one word when 3 are necessary, and in writing will use 30 words when 3 would have sufficed. The great truth is I have, over the course of my life, ever held a great devotion to the written word. It is the exact reasoning why I find myself speaking to you today. Now, over the course of my life, I have been a devoted student, a boy given over to great genius over the course of study, devotion to philosophy, to history, and the various annals of human experience. And when the time for college arose, I deviated from the custom of a native Virginian, which is, of course, the College of William and Mary, which had developed some reputation for the faculty drunkenly carousing up and down the street, and instead favored the College of New Jersey, a Presbyterian institution. I know. And from there, received a tutelage, a revolutionary tutelage, under the, lessons of a man by the name of John Witherspoon. And reflecting upon college today, I received, curiously, this previous week, correspondence from a classmate of mine, a fellow alumnus and fellow patriot, William Bradford. He reminded me of those various lessons at Princeton. You see, well, in all societies, college is no different. Factions are an inevitability. Princeton was, constituted of a faction of not only Northerners and Southerners, but equally various fraternal societies, fraternities bound for debate, bound for oration, and bound for arguing. And upon this, we, the gentlemen at the College of New Jersey, would, upon occasion, deviate from traditional lessons and instead practice greater lessons within the vicinage of these fraternities. Well, we would deviate from astronomy and instead would take our telescopes to spy at some of the more heavenly bodies in the window. Where we would deviate from Newtonian philosophy and would line hallways with greased goose feathers and test the action of someone running and the reaction of them stepping upon it. And of course, where we would deviate from all good sense entirely, and we would, in certain seasons of winter, burn the outhouses. I never participated with any of these. My sole forms of relaxation were walking, conversation, and writing. Those self-same words, commas, and quotidians essential for the powers of persuasion. You see, these various factions would, upon occasion, declare war, the one upon the other. And their weapons would not be cutlass, would not be pistol, would not be cannon piece. Their weapons would be words. We would assemble within the chapel and we would compose the most doggerel poetry we possibly could to defame the other group. Now, there were two factions. There was the American Whig Society, bestowed with men of virtue, honor, integrity, and there was the Cleosopian Society, a group of rogues, doggerels, and pimps. You will understand, and I suspect assume, which society I belong to. But upon this, I will confess, whence war was declared upon one occasion, I contributed, the scabbard of my own pen to wage war against the gentlemen, McCorkle, Swift, all these various Cleosopians. And, gentlemen and ladies, I have the honor to have several of these poems with me, and I wonder, as we are all friends, if I might share them with you.
Of course.
I was going to anyway, so. Very well. I have two to my name, by which my 19-year-old hand submitted. Now, brilliant. The first is, to wit, of late our muse keen satire drew, and humorous thoughts and volleys flew, because we took our foes for men who might deserve a decent pen. A gross mistake. With brutes we fight, and goblins from the realms of night, with lice collected from the beds, where Spring and Craig lay down their heads. Sometimes a goat steps on the pump, which animates old Warford's trunk. Sometimes a poisonous toad appears, which Eckley's yellow carcass bears. And then to grace us with a bull, forsooth, they show McCorkle's skull. And that the ass may not escape, it takes the poet laureate's shape. The screech owl, too, comes in the train, which leaped from Alexander's brain, just as he scratched his grisly head, which people say is made of lead. Come, noble Whig, disdain these sons of screech owls, monkeys, and baboons. Keep up your minds to humorous things, and verdant meads and flowing streams, until this tribe of dunces find the baseness of their groveling mind, and skulk back in their dens together, where each man's stench will kill his brother. I never claimed to have a great blessing with the muses. Well, I need not go on. In any instance, we would continue these in good spirit, and eventually would cease only when that laughter had finally abated. But in those years, 1769 through 1772, we gentlemen who were diverse in character as we were in opinion did find unity upon those classical ideals of life. of liberty, the means of acquiring and possessing property, that inalienable right of self-preservation, and above all, we, in contemplating political principles, endeavored to find some measure by which this continent of North America, this land which had gifted us so much both from her soil, her climes, her art, etc., could sustain itself, could proffer itself in this new age. We witnessed the various acts of Great Britain, these council duties, the Declaratory Act, the Stamp Act, all these instances which squeezed that throat of liberty to distill a liquor that ultimately would strangle that of North America. And we contemplated how we might fit in this new age. We spoke of that liberty existing not as privilege, but as God-given.
Yes.
And I will confess, when we stepped into our baccalaureate, though I was too ill to attend, we spoke of the rising glory of America. We spoke of the inevitable decision which would be made whether we should be bound by ties of consanguinity north and south, or if we should remain loyal to a monarch across 3,000 miles of ocean. And I can recall a man spoke to John Witherspoon that day of our impropriety. He said we should stick to Latin and Greek, poetry, keep political ideals to those with the proper experience, that our unpledged wings port not soar to the height needed to contemplate political principles in these uncertain times. John Witherspoon said he was proud of the spirit of liberty cultivated in his students and faculty. He said he would ever be an opposer of sacerdotal tyranny, subordinate dominion. He encouraged his students to do the same. And when we stepped from Princeton Yard, stepped out of Nassau Hall, we were certain this war, this difference, this revolution would be fought with those pieces of paper, with pen, with ink. We might solve the problems of today, and 5 years later, that same schoolyard would be soaked in the mingled blood of patriots from north and south, the battle of Princeton, shortly following the victory at Trenton. This schoolyard revolution that we undertook, this noble notion that we should distance ourselves from Great Britain, that this appeal would be one of ideas and not of action, was entirely ended on the fields of Lexington, Green, and Concord with a single shot, which echoed throughout the entirety of this continent like a clarion call and ushered all of us into this present course. An independency which we have undertaken together these last 3 years, where we have seen calamity, victory upon the battlefield, and in every instance these various charters of liberty challenged and questioned by institutions we strive to perfect. Upon this regard, I am reminded of something that my dear friend William Bradford wrote to me shortly after I left Princeton. He said that it was the common fault of youth to entertain extravagant thoughts of bliss, happiness, and our future endeavors. It's this that makes us leave college without regret, move with rapture onto the stage of action. He told me, hope is a flatterer we readily believe. She presents us 1,000 idle charms. She tells us, as the Prince of Air did our Savior in the desert, all of this can be yours. Yet in my present condition, I look to the future with nothing but fear and uncertainty. America sits in a most similar condition. We expected in 1776 that in shirking off monarchy and the various accessories that accommodate it, we should instantly find a nova order seclorum, a new order for the ages, the utopia that Grecian philosophers educated. We have discovered that any system of government that seeks great reformation on the minds and manners of mankind is imaginary. We wrestle with the bands of the most volatile, detrimental, and anarchic form of government we possibly can. We have established a republic that utilizes democracy, which experience teaches faith. Yet how fortunate are we now, gentlemen and ladies, to be young, to hold these lessons of experience, to not suffer the blind veneration of antiquity over our own common sense, to be a people provisioned upon a government of the possible, not of the actual. We may sanguinely pray once this appeal to arms is finished, and I am sanguine that it will be soon, I pray, that the various revolutions of pen and ink that follow will establish a system of government too lofty to look down that of any other, and too resilient to succumb to those various vices which previous enterprises undertook.
We hope.
We pray. And in the meantime, gentlemen and ladies, stick firm to your books. Stick firm to your pen. For in that, and in those pens, this American story will be written. thank you. And how about some further confession? I am not, in fact, James Madison. Shocking, I know. My name is Brian Austin. I play James Madison, and I want to welcome you to Making History Come Alive, an experimental and new program here at Colonial Williamsburg. I've been playing James Madison now for about 4 years, and I know I've seen a lot of you before. I see a lot of familiar faces I've spoken to already. Now, this program is designed ultimately to show you how we do what we do, which is how we take primary source material and weave it into a narrative, weave it into a story, weave it into a performance that you see day in and day out. Now, if you've been here several days, you've likely seen a variety of programming. Maybe you've seen me a couple of times, and you've seen me recycle things. This program specifically, though, utilizes a lot of different sources from James Madison's life that I just presented to you. And I'm going to unpack that first, and then we're going to move into questions where you can